So good afternoon, and thank you all for joining us. We're going to briefly walk through our registration process for our HOD delegates, alternate delegates, leaders, ex officios, county executives, as well as the back end for county folks to be able, and section folks to be able to look at who has registered. Whenever they log in real time, they can check that registration. So we're going to go ahead and walk through those. Before we get started, we have our vice speaker, Dr. Letts Cannon, with us, and I'm just going to let him say a few words.
Great. Thank you, Claire. Those that don't know me, I'm Andy Letts Cannon. I'm Vice Speaker of the House of Delegates. Our speaker, Dr. Hertzberg, is currently out of the country, so I'm pinch hitting today. We appreciate all that the counties do to help support getting full delegations into the House of Delegates and the process that we have. We've spent a good amount of time with our staff to revamp the registration page, and so I think this is a good opportunity for them to sort of walk through some of the changes. We've been very purposeful to highlight some of the newer activities that we have going on at House of Delegates this year, but also balancing that out by making a little bit more of a user-friendly experience to get registration as smooth and pain-free as possible. And so I will pass it back to you, Claire, and the rest of the staff. As usual, your speakers are here. If you need us, feel free to reach out directly or via the staff at any time.
Thank you, Dr. Letts Cannon. We're going to get started. We have Jack Hoffman with us, who is the creator of this fabulous process. So he's going to walk through both the registration process, like I said, as well as what the counties are seeing on the back end. The document that he's going to be using is on our county share site in the HOD section. So if you're like me and you want to print it out and let it walk you through the process, I would advise that. I'm a person that likes to have things in front of me. That's on the county share site. And afterwards, if you find that you have any questions, use the HOD@pamedsoc.org address to send your questions to if you think of anything in the future, so you can get help that way as well. So Jack, please go right ahead.
Thanks, Claire. Yeah, so as Claire mentioned, we are going to be using some screenshots, the document that she mentioned that is on the county share website, just to walk through the registration process. However, I will be jumping kind of back and forth between that and the real pages, just so you can get an idea of exactly what it looks like when it's going live. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Hopefully you're all seeing the Word document at this point. Yes, perfect. Okay. So yeah, as Claire mentioned, we did change the registration process a little bit this year from what it's been in the past few years. It's actually an in-house built program this year. And we did that for a couple reasons, but the main one is that we wanted to be able to integrate the data from the registration directly with the data that comes from the certification process and directly from our internal membership database that we use, just to give a better user experience and to be able to provide a little bit more information to the users when they're registered. As Claire mentioned, or she's showing here on this the screenshot first page, there are a few things to keep in mind. Number one, there will be obviously certain information that will change based on who's logging into the system and registering, such as the name, the account number, email. There is a section which is going to show some information kind of pertaining to who the person is in regards to their relationship to PA Med and their relationship to the House of Delegates. And that's this part that we're talking about, the information in yellow. And then there's also a section where we show the business sessions. That includes the virtual session in September and also includes the actual HOD session in October. And want to highlight the fact that those check boxes for that will be checked based on whether or not you are a voting member going into the House of Delegates, and the wording will change a little bit, and you'll be able to see that here in a few minutes. So the link for this particular site is, as you can see, www.pamedsoc.org/HOD registration. When you click that link, type it in, whatever the case may be, you will see the page as it is shown here. Pretty straightforward. It's just a landing page just to give you some basic information about the registration process, and then the big button at the bottom to actually click to go into the registration. Now, if you're logged in at this point, it's going to take you directly to the registration page. If you're not logged into the PAMed website, it is going to take you to the login page, and then from the login page will take you to the actual registration. That's a little bit different than last year. Last year we did not have this behind a login, so that is one change to keep in mind. Once you log in, you're going to get to the basic registration page. And as you can see here, I was logged in as Dr. Hertzberg. It has his name, his account number, his email. The yellow area that we're talking about where it shows some information, in this case, telling Dr. Hertzberg that he is an ex officio without the right to vote. And then also some other fields that we require, such as the cell phone for the day of the meeting, which is important for, number one, being able just to do direct contact, and also important for voting purposes when it actually comes to the House meeting. The training information, just a checkbox, just so you can be aware, just to make sure that we are aware that you notice that you will be receiving training information in the future. That information will also be available on the HOD website, on the PAMed site. And then the business section. As I said earlier, in this case, now a little different here because Dr. Hertzberg technically is not a voting member unless there's a tie. But because of the fact that he could be able to vote based on that, you will notice that the wording here says it is assumed that you will be attending both of these meetings. So we want to kind of emphasize to the users that because they're a delegate, they're an alternate, they're an ex officio with the right to vote, whatever the case may be, that these meetings are both extremely important. And we want to make sure that they realize that we would expect them to be there as part of their role. They do have the ability to deselect them if they need to for some reason. If they can't make one of the meetings, they can certainly turn it off, and that's fine. But we just want to emphasize the importance of the meeting and why they're there. Below that is information regarding to the actual business session that's happening, or actually it shouldn't say the business session, the annual meeting business session that's happening in Hershey in October. We need to know if the person's going to be in person or remote, excuse me. And based on the selection they make there, certain things will change on the screen, and we'll get to that here in a little bit. And then the final checkbox at the bottom is the code of conduct. That was put together by PAMed's legal team this year. There is the ability to read it, and again, I will show that here in a minute, but you are required to check that box and agree to the code of conduct before you can submit your registration. I'm going to go ahead and open up the live site here and just do a quick login just to show you a few little items. So again, not logged in at this point. I am going to log in as one of our test accounts. And once the login goes, you will notice again, I'm seeing the same information because we have this test account set up just like Dr. Hertzberg's account. But you see that you're an ex officio without the right to vote and the code of conduct. They both have buttons beside them. There's the more information and the read the code. If I would click on the more information for the ex officio without the right to vote, it's going to open up a box below it. In that box, we're showing the bylaws. So essentially, we're showing why Dr. Hertzberg, or in this case, the member test account, is an ex officio without the right to vote. And as you can see from item 3 here, the president, immediate past president, president-elect, vice president, trustees, and members of the Judicial Council are all considered ex officios without the right to vote. If I would change to president of a component society, president of one of our chapters, this first area would be orange. The rest of it would be, or yellow. The rest of it would be the regular black text. So again, just depends on who you are as to what you're seeing there. I can close that box. If I go down to read the code of conduct, it's essentially the same thing. I just click on it, it's going to open up, and it's going to show what the PA Med Code of Conduct is for the House of Delegates meeting and what you're agreeing to when you select that checkbox. Jump back into the document here. Oops. Going to jump back into the document. And just scroll down just to give another example of different information. As I already said, here's the more info showing that the bylaws opening up. Here's the more info showing what it looked like whenever the code of conduct opened. Okay. Sorry, I do want to jump back in one more time just to highlight the one other piece. As I said, we are asking whether for the annual meeting you are going to be remote or you're going to be in person. If you say remote, you click on it, nothing happens. If I click on in person, as soon as I do that, you'll notice that this area below, everything down through here, all became visible at that point. These are items that obviously aren't necessary if you're planning to attend the meeting remotely, but if you're planning to actually come to Hershey and be a part of the meeting in person, this is the stuff we need to know. It includes the networking and social events, 4 of them here. Pick the ones you want to come to. It also includes the educational events, the 2 of them below. Again, pick whichever ones you want to come to. Totally up to you what you're coming to. And then the emergency contact information. We were looking for a first name, last name, and an emergency contact phone number. And then we're also asking for any information regarding any of your dietary restrictions or if there are any accessibility needs that you require. And again, free form typing, you can put in whatever you want there. So jumping back to the document, this is basically just showing what it looks like when you click the in person. You can again see all of the stuff here. I've filled in all of the data and I'm ready to submit the application or the registration form. Once the registration form is submitted, you will be taken to a registration confirmation page, which again, just to thank you for registering, and also information about the HOD@pamedsoc.org email address if you have any questions. And you will also receive an email at the same time showing that you are registered. It'll give the information based on how you entered it on the registration form. If you've said that you're going to be in person, you're going to see the actual events that you've registered for, the emergency contact information, cell phone, all of that stuff, and then also information about the hotel and how to get your room whenever you're going to be at Hershey for the weekend. And honestly, the rest of the document is really just showing differences in the different types of people who may come in to register. So as I said, in the case of Dr. Hertzberg, it's an ex officio without the right to vote. Here on page 8, figure 7 is showing a person who's been certified as a delegate. So in this case, that yellow text just says you have been certified as a delegate for Washington County Medical Society, or you've been certified as a delegate, or in the case of the next one, you've been certified as an alternate for Philadelphia County Medical Society. It'll show what position you were certified for and what county or section you've been certified with. This next one's actually just showing a different ex officio without the right to vote. So you get a little bit different messaging. Same thing here. This is showing county president who has not been certified as a delegate. So you can see here it's item 1 of the bylaws. Here we have a county executive coming in, and it'll just say you're a county executive / staff person. But you will also notice, because county execs are not a voting position, the wording has changed here in the business sessions section. It says you are welcome to attend both of the following meetings instead of it is expected that you will attend. and the check boxes are not checked ahead of time. Obviously, they are still welcome to come to both of them. They can check both and obviously be there, but it's just the difference in how we are trying to market to the different types of people. Here we have an ex officio with the right to vote. Again, it goes back to the it is assumed wording with the check boxes checked because this is a voting person. And finally, if we have a non-member, so obviously we do allow non-members to log into our website. It is possible that one of them could hit the registration page. If we would have a non-member attempt to register, they're just going to get an ineligible for HOD registration page, letting them know that they're ineligible, and also then trying to get them to join by taking them out to the pamedsoc.org/join link. And I think the final one I had was just a general member who has no other tie to HOD in any way. As you can see, the yellow wording, there's nothing there. It is a member though, so they are eligible to register for the meeting. So Claire, before I move off of this, is there anything else that you want to add about the registration piece?
No.
Okay. So that's pretty much it for the registration. Again, it's pretty straightforward. The real keys, to remember is that everybody does need to register for themselves because they're going to have to log into the website. And, once they've registered, they will get the confirmation email. And obviously, as we said, they have all of this info, all this information is available to you guys on the county share to look at. The second piece of this that comes into play now that registration has opened is actually going back to the delegate certification portal. So if I log into the delegate certification portal, just take a second here. So I'll get my normal boxes that you're used to seeing, the timeline and stuff that you have to continue to, or that you have to click to get into the certification portal. And again, same as it was before, you're going to see the sections, county/sections that you have access to as an exec. So I have access to Allegheny, IMGs, Lancaster, and Philadelphia. So I'm going to click on Allegheny, and this is essentially what, once it comes up, this is essentially what you're used to seeing. We have closed down the ability to add and edit delegates as of this point. We will be
Jack, you
reopening.
may want to blow it up just a little bit. That's great, thank
Is
you.
that good? Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Yep. We will be reopening on August 1st, I believe it is in the timeline, for the ability for execs to switch their delegates from alternate to a delegate to alternate, unavailable, whatever the case may be. But as far as adding that process, that timeline has passed, with the exception of going through rules and credentials to have somebody added after the fact. So again, this is what it looks like right now for everybody. Now, since registration's opened, we've actually moved into a little bit of a different phase. And to help the counties and the sections understand where their delegates are in the process of registration, I have essentially a flag behind the scenes. I just changed it. And you're going to see here whenever I click on to another county now, because that flag has changed, we've added 2 columns on the right-hand side. We have the October House of Delegates registration column and the September virtual meeting attendance column. And as you can see, I'm in Lancaster County, and I have 2 people who have registered for the HOD meeting in October as in-person attendees, and they've both registered that they are attending the virtual meeting. So anybody who's registered, you're going to see they're going to have the cell for this table is going to be a green background. Anybody who's unregistered, they're still certified by you, but they haven't registered yet to actually attend the meeting on their, to actually tell us that they're coming to the meeting. So in this case, you know, so Dr. Fisher, unregistered at this point. Dr. Dellinger, registered in person for the HOD meeting in October, and registered to attend the virtual meeting. Along with that, we've also included this, sorry, I was trying to highlight just the bottom, but we've added this new number at the top of your form. This is just an overview summary of how many people, oh, I'm sorry. Why did it not appear? I apologize, this is on my problem. I assure you it will be there. We have added a set of numbers below the total delegates, and that set of numbers will show the actual number of people who have registered for the meeting. It's not broken down by delegate as far as like the number of residents who have or residents and students. It's just a total. But like in this case for excuse me, for Allegheny, it would say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It would say 6 registered delegates. And I think they have 1 alternate as well. Yeah, and 1 alternate. So up here it would say 6 registered delegates, 1 registered alternate, 0 registered secretary. And I'm gonna log out and back in just to make sure I didn't mess it up by setting my changing the flag here in the middle of the process. And there we go. I did. So I caused that problem myself, and I apologize for that. So here we go. You can see for Allegheny, they have 7 out of 24 registered delegates, 1 out of 48 registered alternates, and 0 out of 1 registered secretaries. And I'm going to real quick just jump over to the IMG just so you can see the one other difference. IMG, same thing, 2 out of 13 registered, 0 out of 13 registered alternates, 0 out of 13 registered secretary. But you can see here, I do have an IMG who's registered remote. So again, as an exec, you will be able to see who's registered and whether they plan to attend the meeting in person or if they're going to attend remote. And that's pretty much it. This will remain this way through the HOD meeting. If somebody registers, in 5 minutes and I log back into the site, I'm going to see that person registered. It is real time, again, because the registration and certification and all of these things are tied together in the database. It gives us the ability to show you the stuff as it's happening. And I believe that's all I have, Claire.
Okay, thank you so much. Again, if folks have questions that we've not covered today, or you get in and you have questions, please go ahead and send an email to the HOD@pmedsoc.org to get help. And also you can let Mila or I know if you have any questions. If we want to stop recording,